Hello, I'm Simon Whistler. You're watching the Today I Found Out YouTube channel, and in the video today we're dispelling 11 popular urban legends. Number 1. The dissolving tooth. There are numerous urban legends surrounding Coca Cola. In fact, there are so many that these legends now have their own category known as Colklore. The most popular is that if you were to leave a tooth in Coca Cola overnight, by morning the tooth would be completely dissolved. Like most of the other legends involving the popular drink, this is totally untrue. Number 2. Walt Disney is cryogenically frozen. This is another one of those popular stories that most of us have probably heard. It says that Disney supposedly had his dead body frozen in the hopes that future technology could bring him back to life. Unfortunately for all the gossip magazines though, records show that Disney was cremated in 1966. Number 3. Sewer Gators. This story tells the tale of how several alligators were brought up from Florida to be kept as pets in New York City. After they got too big and violent, they escaped into the sewers where they now live freely. Dating back to the 1930s and spread by sensationalist newspapers, the story is completely untrue and yet continues to be circulated to this day. Number 4. Mr. Rogers was a Navy SEAL. According to this legend, Mr. Rogers, the popular television show host, was once a Navy SEAL sniper in Vietnam, responsible for numerous deaths. It goes on to say that the reason he always wears a sweater is to cover up all of his tattoos. As you may have guessed, Mr. Rogers was never a Navy SEAL and he has no tattoos. In fact, he was never even in the military. He was a pacifist and was an ordained Presbyterian minister. Number 5. The Kidney Heist. Immortalized on the TV and the internet, this legend dates back to 1997 when an email circulated warning people of a crazy new crime wave catching on in big cities. It usually involves a traveling businessman being bought drinks by a stranger only to wake up in a tub covered with ice and a phone next to him telling him to call 911. Covered in blood, he later learns that his kidney has been removed by criminals who intend to sell it on the black market. Although the story almost sounds feasible with all the craziness you see on the nightly news, even after the National Kidney Foundation asked victims to contact them, no one has come forward, nor is there any documented instance of this occurring. Number 6. The Jedi Religion form. This far-reaching hoax claims that if enough people fill out Jedi as their religion on their census forms, the US government will have to make it an official religion. At one point, thousands of people tried to do just that, but to no avail, just because a large number of people check something on a form is not grounds for making anything official. Number 7. The 9/11 tourist guy. Shortly after 9/11, a photo began to circulate showing a tourist standing atop one of the World Trade Centers with one of the airplanes in the background of the shot about to strike the tower. The accompanying story explained how the camera was found in the wreckage, but the tourist remained missing. Aside from all of the very inconsistent details in the picture, the story already seemed completely improbable, and several people came forward claiming to be the prankster responsible. It wasn't until recently, however, that the real culprit was discovered in Hungary. He has since apologized to the families for making light of their situation. Number 8. Poisonous daddy longlegs. There has been a persistent rumor circulating for some time that the daddy longlegs spider is the most poisonous in the world but cannot kill humans because its fangs are too small. Where this rumor started, no one knows, but one thing is for sure: the daddy longlegs is certainly not the most poisonous spider in the world. If you're going to be careful around spiders, we would advise keeping your eyes open for the brown recluse or the funnel web spider. Number 9. USA Japan. Yes, there is a town in Japan called USA. No, the Japanese did not rename it after World War II so that they could legitimately stamp their exports with the phrase "Made in USA." The town itself was named after the Ursa Shrine, built in 725. Number 10. Kennedy and the Jelly Donut. The legend goes that Kennedy made a trip to Germany back in the 60s in an attempt to connect with the German people. While giving a speech in the capital, he told the crowd, "Ich bin ein Berliner," or "I am a Berliner." Apparently, though, a Berliner is also a type of German pastry. Since then, numerous stories have circulated claiming that he was practically laughed off the stage afterwards. The truth is, however, that the crowd understood him perfectly and nary a single eyebrow was raised at the statement. John F. Kennedy's statement, "Ich bin ein Berliner," was not interpreted as "I am a jelly-filled donut." Number 11. The Good Samaritan. Circulating for years, this legend tells the story of a motorist who stops on the side of the road to help someone fix their flat tire. The person being helped then asks the motorist for his address to send a reward. Several weeks later, the motorist receives $10,000 in the mail. Over the years, this story has been attributed to several celebrities, most recently Donald Trump. So I really hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, give us a like below, it really helps out. Leave us a comment to let us know what you think, and do subscribe to our channel for brand new stuff every day. Over there on the right, I'm going to link to a couple of other videos you'll probably enjoy if you enjoyed this one, and thanks for watching.